In the heart of a bustling vegetable patch, nestled amongst rows of giggling carrots and gossiping peas, lived a tiny tomato named Toby. Unlike his plump, red neighbors, Toby was a pale, shy fellow, longing for adventure. One sunny morning, a loud voice boomed across the garden. It was Beatrice, the wise old beetroot, her leaves rustling with excitement. "Attention, veggies," she declared, her voice booming like a foghorn. "Today is the Great Garden Games." A wave of excitement rippled through the patch. The Great Garden Games were an annual event where vegetables competed in silly challenges, celebrating their unique strengths. "This year's games are bigger and better than ever," Beatrice continued. "There's the leafy long jump for our lettuce friends, the juiciest javelin throw for the tomatoes, and even a hide and seek in the compost for our sneaky potato pals." Toby's heart thumped. He longed to join the fun, but he wasn't the strongest or fastest. He was just a small, pale tomato. Sensing his worry, a gentle voice piped up beside him. It was Penelope, a sprightly pea with a bright green pod. "Don't be sad, Toby," she said, her voice like a tinkling bell. "There's a teamwork challenge too. The veggie relay race." Toby's eyes widened. A team race. Maybe he could finally participate. The day was filled with laughter and cheers. Carrots soared through the air in the long jump. Watermelons launched themselves impressive distances in the javelin throw, and potatoes became masters of disguise in the compost. Finally, it was time for the veggie relay race. Teams of 4, made up of different vegetables, lined up. Toby, nervous but determined, stood alongside a strong pumpkin named Pete, a speedy green bean named Zach, and a wise old onion named Oliver. The race began. Pete, with his powerful legs, sprinted ahead, carrying a basket of peas. He passed it to Zach, who zipped through the patch like a green blur, delivering it to Oliver. Oliver, using his pungent aroma, confused the pesky flies, guarding the finish line, allowing Toby to make a final dash and cross the finish line first. Toby, the once shy tomato, beamed with pride. He had proven that even the smallest vegetable could be a valuable part of the team. That night, under the twinkling stars, the vegetables celebrated. Toby, surrounded by his new friends, no longer felt small or pale. He was just Toby, a tomato who learned the importance of teamwork and the joy of friendship, all thanks to the Great Garden Games. Once upon a time, nestled in a cozy cottage nestled against a rolling green hill, lived a little baby named Lily. Lily wasn't your average little baby. Sure, she loved gurgling and grabbing at shiny objects, but her favorite pastime was staring out the window, her bright blue eyes wide with wonder. One particularly sunny afternoon, as Lily cooed at the fluffy white clouds, a shadow fell across the window. Lily giggled, thinking it was her papa playing peekaboo. But when she looked up, her eyes widened in surprise. There, perched precariously on the windowsill, was a tiny dragon. It wasn't the kind of dragon you'd see in scary stories, though. This little dragon was no bigger than a cat, with shimmering emerald scales and wings that shimmered like pearlescent soap bubbles. Its eyes, the color of melted chocolate, gazed at Lily with a curious glint. Lily, fearless and full of baby babbles, reached out a chubby hand. The little dragon, hesitant at first, nudged its snout against her finger. Lily shrieked with delight, a sound like wind chimes tinkling in a summer breeze. From that day on, an unusual friendship blossomed. Every afternoon, the little dragon, whom Lily named Spark, would visit. They'd play peekaboo with Lily's tiny blanket, Spark puffing out small puffs of harmless smoke to make it disappear. Lily would chase Spark as it fluttered around the room, her laughter echoing through the cottage. One day, Spark arrived looking downcast. Its usually vibrant scales seemed dull, and its head hung low. Lily, sensing Spark's sadness, crawled towards it, offering her favorite teething ring. Spark nuzzled it gently, then looked at Lily with pleading eyes. Following Spark, Lily crawled out the back door and into the garden. There, under a rose bush, lay a crumpled and broken wing. Lily gurgled, understanding dawning on her chubby face. Lily's parents, who had grown accustomed to the sight of the little dragon, rushed outside at her cries. Seeing the broken wing, Papa, a skilled carpenter, immediately understood. He gathered his tools and set to work. With Lily babbling encouragement and Spark watching patiently, Papa crafted a splint from a thin. Once upon a time, nestled amongst the petals of a giant sunflower in a hidden meadow, lived a tiny fairy named Luna. Unlike her friends who flitted about during the day, Luna was a sleepy fairy. Her wings, the color of twilight, shimmered with a dreamlike glow, and her eyes held the sparkle of 1,000 fireflies. Luna loved to sleep. She dozed off during morning dewdrop showers, snoozed through butterfly ballet practice, and even napped during the nightly moonbeam dance party. Her friends, the buzzing bumblebees and the chirping crickets, would tease her gently. "Wake up, Luna," they'd say, "there's so much magic to experience in the meadow." But Luna, nestled in a bed of soft clover, would just smile sleepily and murmur, "The best magic happens in dreams, my friends." One day, a strange silence fell over the meadow. The usually vibrant flowers drooped, the playful butterflies fluttered listlessly, and the cheerful songs of the birds were replaced by worried chirps. A grumpy cloud had settled over the meadow, blocking out the sunshine and the happy magic that filled it. Luna, awakened by the unusual quiet, peeked out from her clover bed. She saw the worried faces of her friends and the gloomy sky above. Now, even Luna knew something was wrong. Gathering her courage, Luna fluttered towards the grumpy cloud. "Why are you so sad, big cloud?" she asked in her soft, sleepy voice. The cloud rumbled, its voice like distant thunder. "I've lost all my happy dreams," it moaned, "and without them, I can't sprinkle sunshine on the meadow." Luna understood. Dreams were the source of all magic. In the meadow, without the cloud's happy dreams, everything would become dull and dreary. But Luna knew a secret. The best dreams happened when you slept soundly. So, with a gentle, lightning McQueen, the famous race car, was known for his speed. He zoomed across tracks, leaving other cars in the dust. But all he cared about was winning. One sunny day, McQueen was on his way to the Big Piston Cup race in California. He was so focused on being first, he didn't pay attention to his loyal tow truck driver, Mac. Mac, tired from driving all night, accidentally fell asleep at the wheel. McQueen, frustrated by the delay, decided to take matters into his own hands. He unhitched himself from the trailer and sped off, determined to reach the race on his time. McQueen raced through the night, ignoring the beautiful scenery and the friendly towns along the way. He even ended up in a dusty old town called Radiator Springs, which wasn't even on the map. There, he accidentally caused a big mess, tearing up the main street. The townspeople of Radiator Springs, including Doc Hudson, a wise old race car, weren't happy with McQueen's recklessness. They made him fix the road as punishment. While working, McQueen met Sally, a beautiful blue car, and Mater, a rusty but lovable tow truck. Slowly, McQueen started to see Radiator Springs differently. He learned about their traditions, enjoyed delicious car washes, and even participated in a tractor tipping competition, which he surprisingly lost. He even helped Sally organize a town derby race, showing off his skills in a different way. As days turned into weeks, McQueen began to appreciate the value of friendship, teamwork, and the joy of the journey, not just the destination. He even learned some valuable racing tips from Doc Hudson. Finally, the day came for McQueen to leave Radiator Springs and head to the big race. His friends came to see him off, feeling a pang of once upon a time, in a vibrant town called Harmonyville, lived a family of artists, Mama Brush, Papa Palette, and their twins, Poppy and Pip. Harmonyville was a place where colors danced on every corner, houses painted in sunny yellows and playful pinks, flowers blooming in a riot of hues, and even the people wore clothes the color of their moods. One morning, Poppy and Pip woke up to a strange sight. Everything outside their window was dull and gray. The vibrant houses looked like bland boxes, the flowers drooped in colorless disappointment, and even the people walked around with a gloomy air. The colors had vanished. Worried, Poppy and Pip raced downstairs. "Mama, Papa," they cried, "where did all the colors go?" Mama Brush, her face etched with concern, explained, "It seems the color keeper, the magical being who guards our town's colors, has gone missing." Pip, his eyes wide, gasped, "But without colors, Harmonyville isn't Harmonyville anymore." Determined to save their town, Poppy and Pip, armed with their parents' paintbrushes and a sprinkle of courage, set off to find the color keeper. Their journey took them through whispering meadows, where the blades of grass rustled secrets in the wind, and through trickling streams that gurgled with forgotten rhymes. Finally, they reached a hidden cave nestled behind a grumpy waterfall. Inside, they found the color keeper, a tiny creature with wings like rainbows and tears glistening on its cheeks. "Why are you crying?" asked Poppy gently. The color keeper sniffed. "My magic is fading," it whimpered, "because people in Harmonyville have forgotten the true joy of colors." Poppy and Pip looked at each other. They understood. People had become so used to colors that they no longer appreciated their beauty. Without wasting any time, they ran back to Harmonyville. They gathered everyone in the town square. In a bustling market nestled amongst towering buildings lived Luna the lamp. Luna wasn't your ordinary lamp, though she looked like any other brass lamp with a dusty shade. Luna held a secret. Inside her, a tiny firefly named Flicker lived, his golden light illuminating the market with a warm glow. Every night, after the last shopper had left, Flicker would wake up. He'd zip around Luna's bulb, his light chasing away shadows and guiding lost kittens back to their homes. Luna, despite being a lamp, felt a deep connection with Flicker. She loved the way his light brought comfort and joy to the market. One morning, Luna awoke to an unsettling feeling. The market felt different, somehow duller. Looking around, she saw Flicker. His golden glow dimmed and flickered, pun intended. "What's wrong, Flicker?" Luna asked with concern. Flicker, his voice weak, explained that he was losing his light. "I don't understand," he whimpered. "I always share my light freely." Luna, determined to help her friend, decided to investigate. They journeyed through the market, past towering displays of fruits and vegetables. They even braved a conversation with a grumpy fishmonger, who, surprisingly, wasn't grumpy at all but just worried about the fading light. Finally, they reached the heart of the market, a magnificent carousel adorned with glittering horses. There, perched on a golden pole, sat a group of fireflies, their lights dimmed just like flickers. A wise old firefly, his light barely a flicker itself, spoke. "The magic of the market is fading," he explained. "People are so busy buying and selling, they've forgotten the joy of sharing and having fun." Luna and Flicker knew what they had to do. They returned to Luna's spot. And, with a determined spark, Flicker started to glow, a little brighter than before. Then, Luna did something she had never done before. Using all her energy, she focused on Flicker's light, amplifying it and directing it outwards. The market, for a brief moment, plunged into darkness. Then, like a spark igniting a flame, the fireflies on the carousel, inspired by Flicker's renewed light, began to glow brighter. Soon, the market was a symphony of twinkling firefly lanterns. People stopped their frantic shopping. They looked up, mesmerized by the beautiful display. Laughter filled the air as children chased fireflies, and families gathered to share stories under the warm glow of the market lights. The magic had returned. Luna, exhausted but happy, watched as the market came alive again. She understood that sometimes, finding your own light meant helping others find theirs. And from that day on, Luna and Flicker continued to share their light, reminding everyone that the true magic of a market lies not just in things you buy, but in the joy and connections you share. In the vibrant city of Bikini Bottom, beneath the waves, lived SpongeBob SquarePants, a cheerful and optimistic sponge who loved his job as a fry cook at the Krusty Krab. One crisp morning, as SpongeBob hummed a tune while preparing Krabby Patties, a sense of unease settled over the usually bustling restaurant. Mr. Krabs, his eyes wider than usual, announced that their secret Krabby Patty formula had vanished. Panic gripped Bikini Bottom. Without the formula, the Krusty Krab's most popular menu item couldn't be made, and hungry customers wouldn't be happy. SpongeBob, determined to help his boss and save the Krabby Patty, decided to take matters into his own square hands. He enlisted the help of his best friend, Patrick Star. Patrick, though enthusiastic, wasn't the brightest starfish in the sea. They first turned to Sandy Cheeks, the brilliant inventor Squirrel, who analyzed the situation with her scientific mind. Together, they followed a trail of clues, leading them to the unlikely culprit. Sheldon Plankton, Mr. Krabs' sworn enemy and owner of the Chum Bucket, a struggling fast food joint. Plankton, a tiny green creature with a Napoleon complex, had finally gotten his hands on the Krabby Patty formula. He planned to use it to dominate the fast food industry under the sea. SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy knew they had to act fast. The journey took them through fantastical underwater landscapes, encountering grumpy mermaids, mischievous jellyfish, and even a grumpy giant clam guarding a secret entrance to Plankton's lair. Through teamwork, wit, mostly SpongeBob's, and a dash of Patrick's luck, they outsmarted Plankton's security measures and reached his secret lab. A hilarious showdown ensued. In a time of long ago, nestled amongst the tall trees of Sherwood Forest, lived a brave and clever young man named Robin Hood. Unlike most folks, Robin didn't care much for fancy clothes or grand castles. He preferred the freedom of the forest and the company of his merry band of friends. Now, the land wasn't quite as merry. The Sheriff of Nottingham, a greedy and grumpy man, was in charge. He collected much more tax than people could afford, leaving many families with barely enough to eat. Robin hated seeing the poor suffer while the sheriff lived in luxury. So, Robin and his friends, like Will the strong archer and Little John with his giant staff, came up with a daring plan. They'd waylay rich travelers on the forest roads, not to hurt them, but to take a bit of their gold. Then, they'd secretly deliver the stolen coins to the poor families who needed it most. The sheriff, of course, was furious. He sent his guards to capture Robin Hood, but Robin was too clever. He knew every secret path and hiding spot in the forest. The sheriff's men would chase shadows while Robin and his friends disappeared like whispers on the wind. News of Robin Hood's good deeds spread far and wide. People who were struggling whispered his name with hope. They called him their hero, their protector. Robin Hood became a symbol of courage and kindness, a reminder that even the smallest person can stand up to injustice. One sunny afternoon, a grand archery tournament was held in Nottingham. Robin, disguised as a simple villager, decided to join. He surprised everyone with his incredible skill, hitting targets no one else could even reach. In the final round, he faced the sheriff himself, who was a terrible archer but a sore loser. Robin easily won the contest, but before he could claim his prize, the sheriff's guards recognized him. A chase ensued through the bustling market square. Robin, with the help of the cheering crowd, managed to escape once again, leaving the sheriff red-faced and frustrated. Robin Hood's adventures continued, a thorn in the side of the greedy sheriff and a beacon of hope for the poor. He showed everyone that even without riches or titles, you can be a hero, as long as you have a brave heart and a willingness to help those in need. Deep in the colorful cosmos, on a spaceship called the Milano, lived a little talking tree named Groot. He wasn't very big yet, just a pot full of twigs and leaves, but his heart was enormous. One sunny morning, Groot peeked out of his pot. His best friend, Rocket, a fuzzy, furry mechanic raccoon, was tinkering with some wires. "Hey Rocket," Groot said in his scratchy voice, "I am Groot." Which meant, "What are we doing today?" Rocket, used to Groot's unique way of speaking, grinned. "Today, little buddy," he said, "we're on a mission to find the juiciest space berries in the galaxy." Groot's twiggy arms waved excitedly. "I am Groot," which meant, space berries. Awesome. They blasted off, zooming past sparkling stars and twirling nebulas. Finally, they landed on a strange planet covered in bouncy, purple plants. "These must be the space berries," Rocket exclaimed. He grabbed one and took a bite. His face scrunched up. "Ugh, tastes like space mushrooms." Groot giggled, a sound like rustling leaves. He reached out a twig and plucked a berry. It glowed. He popped it in his leafy mouth. His eyes widened. "I am Groot," which meant, "Wow, this is delicious." Suddenly, the ground began to shake. A giant, grumpy space slug emerged, its slimy body covered in sparkly spots. "Those are my berries," it boomed. Rocket grabbed Groot's pot. "Run, Groot!" he yelled. They raced through the bouncy plants, the slug lumbering after them. Thinking fast, Groot sprouted a long, strong vine. He wrapped it around the slug's antenna, the glowy berry dangling near its face. The slug, distracted, slurped up the berry with a satisfied gurgle. Happy and full, the slug wiggled back underground. Rocket and Groot, safe and a little out of breath, collapsed on a bouncy purple plant. Well, that was an adventure, Rocket chuckled. Groot smiled, his leaves rustling happily. I am Groot. Which meant, maybe space mushrooms next time. Rocket laughed. Maybe next time, buddy. Maybe next time. They watched the stars twinkle, two best friends ready for whatever zany adventure space threw their way.